Welcome to Inclusive Cyber, your front row seat to understand how a diverse mix of voices is not just necessary, but essential to protect our most sensitive computer networks and personal data. I'm your host, Danny Magallanes, and through my podcast, we shine the spotlight on the heroes and trailblazers from every corner of society who are redefining the diversity, equity, and inclusion frontier. Every episode is a step towards a cyber community that's as varied as it is united, where everyone has the keys to unlock their potential and the power to protect our digital world. Join us on this journey where every listen, every share, every dialogue inches us closer to this new reality. Basma, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm doing great, Danny. Very excited to be on the show. Thank you for inviting me.
Super excited as well. Every episode, I always try to give background on how we initially met. I'm slowly building up my network in Seattle, in the Washington area. So I know Catherine was a previous guest on Inclusive Cyber, and my viewership actually skyrocketed with her.
Yeah.
And I know she introduced me, or I think you saw some videos, and then we just started having that conversation.
Yes, I was very moved with Catherine's video because it discusses people who are looking for jobs and what's the background story and what's their journey like and how many jobs they applied to, how many interviews or phone call they got. So I got moved. No, I'll reach out to Danny. Let's do a session because there's a lot of great talents in the market and we're prepping them for the next step. We need to as well have hiring manager giving them a chance to break into cyber.
Yeah, and that's one of many reasons I wanted to have you on the show, because you have a unique experience and placement in the industry, which I know we're going to be talking about. But before we start going in depth into that, can you provide a quick background for the audience?
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. I'm Basma. I fell in love with cybersecurity 20 years ago, like crypto, network security, hacking. It got me really very intrigued. And I've been working in cyber for over 16 years. I'm currently a security program manager with Microsoft in Microsoft Security. One of the biggest success for me in my journey is getting one boot camp. And that boot camp, I'm originally from Egypt, North Africa. So it was something called Information Technology Institute Cybersecurity Boot Camp, 9 months program. And that changed my career.
That's awesome. Just to peel that a little bit back, Basma, what initially got you interested into technology to even go to that boot camp?
Yes, Legos. I love Legos, right? I love putting Legos together, putting them aside, not following instructions and just building something unique. And it's one of the things that being an out-of-box thinking that got me into cyber. It's very dynamic if you've seen over the history, specifically with crypto and the evolvement of how can we break crypto, encryption, decryption, and hashing and all of that kind of arena as data security is very intriguing, very dynamic. And that's one of the reasons that got me into cyber. It got me interested in technology.
I love it, Legos. And it's interesting. I was talking to my wife about Legos. She asked me if I had them growing up. And I did, but I would never really like them because I guess I wasn't creative. I was more kind of video games and just being outdoors and doing sports. But now they give you instructions on how to build the object. I'm a bigger fan though.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate that background. So I know you also are the president of Women in Cyber, the Western Washington.
I'm actually the vice president of Women in Cybersecurity Washington affiliate. Yes.
So how did you get into that particular role?
So that's an interesting story because while I was at Egypt, I was a WiCyS member, and it pronounced WiCyS as We Sisters. I was mentoring women across different time zones, and I landed in Washington almost 3 years ago, or actually 2.5 years ago to be exact. And then I found out, there are people in person doing something with WiCyS. And they were getting active after COVID. And then I met with them. There was at the time 2 women on board. I said, yes, I'm joining. Let's get this initiative going on, help the local community get connected. So part of it building the community and listening to the community, right? And how can we serve women analyze in Washington with technical workshop, panel discussion, helping them with negotiation skills, taking a look at the resume. And we're going to spin out an official program for mentorship. And we have now a college liaison, and like they're doing awesome with the local colleges and community colleges and helping them out with their own student chapter and their security initiatives.
I love everything you said there, and especially giving back to the community. There are so many challenges in cybersecurity, and we need to, like you mentioned about the Legos, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
We need to bring in whether students or transitioning professionals to help us, solve the biggest challenges. So I definitely love all that background. Let's talk about, well, actually, even before that, when you were going through boot camp and getting into cybersecurity, did you have any mentors through that process? Because I firmly believe mentors really help us out through our career. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in IT or in cybersecurity, in whatever profession. So I'm just curious on if you had any and how that relationship.
That's really a very interesting question. And coming from different kind of culture background, the mentorship was not big back then. The first time I had a mentor was a year ago. And I could see myself like in that year with 3 mentors that I work with thriving, excelling, right? And back then I didn't have any mentors. I was not exposed to the term, and many are not exposed to the term. So mentor is really a blessing. It's coaching. It's how can I see things from a different perspective? How can I approach something differently? Getting a second or a third opinion. But to work with a mentor, you have to understand your skill set and what kind of thing or coaching or mentorship you're looking for. Being specific so you can get there. It's not like, hey, Danny, I would like you to be my mentor. Let's just casually hang out and talk. It's good. That talking is good, but it's about what is the outcome that I want? What skill set I would like to address or learn? What struggle do I want to work and solve?
Yeah, it's all about doing your due diligence before you contact somebody to be your mentor, to say, hey, I really want to be in this part of cybersecurity. I know I get a lot of questions. Hey, can you help me? I want to get into cybersecurity. I'm like, okay, that's great. What do you want to be?
Exactly.
And they're like, just in cyber. I'm like, well, there's a lot of different roles and skill sets within cybersecurity. So I think it's up to everybody to do their due diligence and say, hey, I want to do governance, risk, and compliance, or the SOC, Security Operations Center Analyst. Kind of provide a little direction. So if that's not the mentor's strong suit or their capability, they can get you to the right person or provide the correct resources.
Exactly. And just to give a clear example, it's like me saying, I want to swim in the ocean. I want to dive in the ocean. And then I need to be specific. The temperature about the ocean, what my skill set in terms of diving, right? What do I prefer to see while diving? What do I enjoy? What I'm passionate about? Because there's a lot of oceans, right? Same as cybersecurity domains. And then it gets more specific. And it's about diving deep into that security domain or that job description that this person is looking for.
I like that analogy, and just using different ways to really connect to people and say, hey, this is what we need from you all to make that connection helpful for everyone there. So I wanted to discuss during our prep calls, we wanted to highlight 3 key takeaways. I know we talked about mentorship, guidance, and overall roadmap. So let's start off with guidance.
Yes.
So if you have somebody at the University of Washington, they meet you at a conference, Basma, what guidance would you provide me new to the industry that I should look into to build my confidence, but also technical expertise? What would you tell them?
I love that question. And this is where I would suggest for us to go with ISC Squared, the CC exam and foundation materials that are available for free to understand more about the basics of cybersecurity. And then understanding and deciding two cybersecurity domains that this person would like to dive deeper into and learn more into. And then focus on these domains all in. There's tons of great available materials, and me myself, I'm thinking to gather some of these materials into a doc format. I'll bring it to life. I'll share it to LinkedIn. But there's a great amount of free resources, including some of like WiCyS scholarships or Cybersecurity scholarships. There's a lot of technical trainings that are available in person as well in the local community that are accessible and available. But diving all in with the two security domains and understanding more, okay, do I like defensive security? Do I like offensive security? Do I like architecture? So within that domain, what you're most passionate about, and then go all in terms of learning and practice. As an example, if I like offensive security or red teaming, so I'll just do a lot of capture the flag competition. I'll do a lot of practice. There's a lot of tools, resources available online, a lot of competitions that happens locally, which is super fun. If I like defensive security or blue teaming activity, so understanding more about that and using open source tool to build that skill set and dive all in. And it kind of, those builds eventually to decide if the person want to be an architect or the person want to dive more into risk and compliance role. So it depends. Each person have a different passion, and it's about understanding that passion, because passion is number one key for success.
I love how you provide that focus with ICS2 and understand that domain, but then also using your local community and maybe resources online to really expand people's knowledge and understanding of that particular domain that they're interested in. Another follow-up question to that, how would you respond? Would it be the same thing for transitioning professionals? Let's say somebody coming in from marketing or sales. Would you have the same advice in regards to that guidance?
I will tune it differently because they have already been working, right? So they have great strengths and skill set that is transferable to cybersecurity. And it's about drilling down those skill set, and whether they're managing projects or working in hospitals or even working in military or the police department. So digging deeper, as well as marketing, sales, digging deeper into those skill set from the projects, understanding what was the impact and what the value I added in each project. Because guess what? All the skill set, all this experience, you can transfer it to cybersecurity. You will just need to learn the cybersecurity angle. And this is where, on top of that, just go into the regular track, choose a domain, and dive all in. But the good news is you got some skill set, which is awesome.
What you just explained there is unfortunately a rare perception in our industry, because we typically, and I know I'm overgeneralizing here, if a potential candidate doesn't have those hard skills, right, programming or being able to deploy security tools X, Y, and Z, then we perceive them as entry level. But those transferable skills from other professions is something we don't take into account. So I love the fact that you're acknowledging that, because like you said, they could be managing folks. It could be program managers and X, Y, and Z that can be leveraged. And all they need is understand that lingo that is so pervasive in cybersecurity. So thank you for really elevating that, because I think we need to do more of that, especially with the transitioning professionals. I'll just give a quick story. I met a transitioning professional who was a leader, and I forgot what profession they're coming into, but they're struggling to find a job in cybersecurity. So they said to me, well, I guess I'm going to have to take an entry-level position. And I was pushing back and I'm saying, no, that shouldn't be the case. But I don't remember how long she was looking for a job, but it's unfortunate that a lot of people are going through that. So again,
Yes.
thank you for building that up.
Yes, it's not about the unicorn, and it's about people, tools, and process. And tools anyone can learn, and you can adapt to any process. And people is the number one factor, and passion is something really important. On Friday, during lunch, I was at University of Washington Puzzle during their hackathon week, and I gave a speech to 300 students. They were all so awesome, and few of them, their passion really stand out. People is number one, because I can tell you, I remember 10 people that really made a great amount of impact. Well, just simple interaction. So transferable skills is something very crucial because it's the most difficult thing that a person can learn. It takes time, it takes interactions, it takes different projects to gain those skills.
It's all about patience, right? We're not going to be superstars in cybersecurity or any profession until we put in that time and effort to really learn and deploy what we learned, going through
Yes.
those exercises, not only in a safe environment, but also true experiences of running a security operations and running engineering teams. I wanted to go back to is the mentorship.
Mm.
So now I know a lot of people struggle on how to communicate. So what would be some best practices on how people can reach out to potential mentors, whether they're students trying to get into cybersecurity or what we just talked about, transitioning professionals?
Yeah, so one of the easiest way that people can find a mentor is through those affiliates, right? Cybersecurity and WiCyS, because there's official mentorship program that goes on. And then in each state, the local chapter might have some enforcement and more different programs. Like here in Washington, we're going to be spinning up mentoring circles, and it's going to be awesome. We're allowing other women and allies from the community to mentor and share their expertise, right? But regularly without those platforms, you can reach out to a person, right? So as you have seen someone presenting or via LinkedIn, and that would be a good approach. And it's okay to have a no, right? So it's okay to have a yes. Act both as normal, because with mentors, if you don't know the person before, it gets really hard to make that connection because it's about understanding the persona as well. Will it be impactful? And this is where with my current mentees, I do check, are they getting the right impact? Are they still getting what they're expected? And it's okay if they say no, because I'll connect you with someone else. Mentorship is a blessing and it's really very important, and it adds to mentor and mentee skill set. It's a win-win situation, and I love that because I get a different perspective on the new struggles for women as working with mentees, because some of the things would be nuanced or some of the things that I haven't thought about it. But it's as well crucial to get sponsors. Oftentimes women will be over mentored and under sponsored, right? And it goes to a lot of people. I was at the WiCyS conference in Nashville where I asked a question. I believe there was around 2,000 people in the audience, and I do believe I only seen 4 or 5 hands of women who have sponsors. And it tells something. It tells like we need more sponsors. There's some women that are thriving. There's some women that have a unique skill set, and we need to advocate and be persistent in having more sponsors and supporters and allyship in action.
So two key points there, Basma. So I'm going to go back a little bit. You mentioned something that I never really thought of between the mentorship and mentee kind of relationship there, about if it's not working out, especially the mentor, they're the one that obviously have the experience. They shouldn't take offense to that. Hey, you're not really helping me out. Maybe just because it's different domains that the mentor and the mentee are looking into, the mentor shouldn't take that personally. And like you said, I really like that. Hey, well, the relationship that we have, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but let me try to find out who can, best align with maybe your learning your availability and or the domain. And again, I appreciate you kind of enlighten me in that, because that's something I never really thought about, but is key, that if you do have that mentor partner, you can get out of them if it's not working for you, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could be vice versa. And it could be maybe now I went into a mentorship with an initial key points or target, but now I'm just focusing, okay, how can I get on speaking platforms at conferences? So I need that other type of mentor that would help me with my submission, with me practicing to speak at public conferences, right?
Definitely good points. But the other aspect that you mentioned was sponsorship. So I know there is a distinction between mentor and a sponsor. So just for the audience, can you give what a sponsor is for you when you ask that question during that conference?
Yes. So a sponsor would be someone that talks about you for maybe this common pool of opportunity or your next career step, or it could be your promotion, or it could be the school project that maybe you'd be a good fit leading. So a sponsor would be your advocate, would be your supporter, would be your allyship in action. And all they need to do is remember to bring your name once. It's okay to forget it all the time. That's fine, right?
Right.
And part of it, and a lot of people say, I haven't worked with that person. And yeah, it's a valid concern, but I'll give you an example that was taught to me, and I love it
Mhm.
dearly by one of my current mentors. It's because I said Danny can participate in the Olympics, just still gonna do your fitness exam, Danny, right? And then if you meet the requirements, you will participate in the Olympics. So it's always good to be a supporter. It's always good to remember to bring up a name once, and it's always fulfilling, and it's different than mentors. It's low time consuming because mentors, you speak with them, you engage on a regular cadence of coaching and meeting. But sponsors, maybe I met you once, generally we connected. I understand you're looking now for this type of projects. And if I happen to be in those platforms with these type of projects, all I need to do is remember to mention your name once. If they've seen that you're a good fit, then you get in, right? And this is what we need to do for each other's a compound effect for sponsors. And this is where leaders need to be aware that there is a certain amount of people over mentored, under sponsored, and be even willing and open to reach out to a person and tell them, hey, I've seen something initially in you. I would like to sponsor you. Let's have a coffee sometime so I can get to know you more. So it's coffee from time to time, sharing those success stories or these cool projects and whatnot that will give this person as a leader a confidence enough to bring that sponsee name.
I love those tips on how to build that relationship with a potential sponsor. And yeah, sponsors should know of you,
Mhm.
but yeah, just building that relationship and overly communicate. Like my old boss used to say, I want to transition into hiring and hiring managers in the current environment. I know we just spoke about this, and I know the World Economic Forum just released a cybersecurity talent framework. And it's a lengthy report, but it just talked about that there is a disconnect. But I know you had mentioned hiring managers need to listen more. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I'm gonna refer back to Catherine's video. When she, in her journey, I believe, if I remember the numbers correctly, she applied over 600 jobs, maybe got 3 phone calls in one interview. So around same numbers, give or take. And that's only one person journey. So imagine that replicated to many millions. And this is where a lot of this great framework and strategy has been built, and we're working with the community to build up and scale up on the cyber. Yet sometimes some hiring managers are looking for that unicorn who got the best skills, who got most of it. And that's understandable because it could be value of hiring and all of that. But I've known women personally who are persistent Even though they're looking to break into cyber, every day they're working on something. They're building a skill set. Some will pursue masters, some will pursue some certificates, others will participating in the local community and volunteering in these initiatives, or even capture the flag competition and being on conferences to be up to date. And I love that because it's commitment, it's passion, right? And what I would like to kind of address is give someone a chance. Just give them this fitness exam to participate in this Olympics. Just give them an interview. And many times you would be really surprised with the amount of skill set that they bring. And I was talking the other day about we need to do more for the local community here in terms of finding jobs and working with these women. We've done resume workshop, we've done career guidance. They're awesome, prepared. They do the work, they get the certificates, some got masters and whatnot. And it's all about how about we open more doors for diverse backgrounds. Majority are like I know someone who she's switching from engineering to cybersecurity, and that's her passion.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped working, pursue some degrees, some certificates and masters, and now she's looking. And I love how persistent these women are. And we should all give them a chance to be on that platform. One thing that I know personally about the local community, they're so persistent, they're so hardworking, they're so passionate. The passion is contagious, and that should mean something.
Persistence is definitely key. I agree with you about giving people a chance, but also I think there is that miscommunication or discrepancy on what the hiring manager is looking for and what candidates are looking for. You make a perfect example. Hiring managers are looking for the unicorn, that they can do everything within that cybersecurity shop, which again is not practical. But I think that's unfortunately a very pervasive mentality in the industry. And the other thing, what professionals are looking for, they value experience more than education and certification. But that's at odds of what the industry is saying. Get your master's in cybersecurity, get your master's in electrical engineering, anything related to IT.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, get your certifications. So there is that discrepancy. How can people, at the end of the day, get the experience if everything they're getting is not being valued? So I think at the end of the day, like you said, giving people a chance.
Yeah, because I do believe each pass of those are being valued. Those are skills, certificates, or even projects that you're working on, the lab that you're building, and just like practicing some scenarios. Those are really great skill set.
Agreed. Let's shift topics to branding. How do you define branding and how do you do that in practice?
So, branding could mean so many different things, but let's simplify it in the cybersecurity space. Branding, what would I like to be known for? About me, my hobbies. Who am I? What do I do locally? What do I enjoy reading? What's the things that keeps me up to date in terms of passion and listening to podcasts? So it tells you more about the person and how they spend time, making sure that this branding is there in the resume and as well as LinkedIn. Because like oftentimes, especially if you're applying for an interview, it's really good to take a look at LinkedIn. It tells more about the person's story. What do they like to read? What have they attended? What projects they worked on? And this is where I encourage everyone to use LinkedIn as a platform to post about you, about these small interactions. Do not think too much in your head that, okay, I read this book. Will my key takeaway matter? Yes, it will. It always matters to someone taking a look at your LinkedIn. So do not underestimate the value that each person bring in. And this is where you go look at one cool YouTube video and you would like to add on top of that, or you really enjoy that. So be genuine and authentic about your brand. And this is a great way and platform for me to understand more about this person and more about this interactions. And it's very kind of very simple, yet it's very crucial because resumes is very hard to tell more about this person. You can, yes, you see great experience, great education, but how can I know more about you? And LinkedIn is a really great platform for that. Cover letter too, a really great way to tell more about you and your passion in a more informal way. I invite everyone to take a look at their current LinkedIn, make sure that A, it's up to date, B, all certificates, education is there. Any interesting books, make sure you publish something about it. Do it as part of a habit. It's always about building the habit, right? How about on a weekly basis, you get on LinkedIn and share what was most exciting work wise, project wise, interaction wise, conferences wise, talks wise on LinkedIn with your key takeaways. I learned to build that habit, and now my LinkedIn is like crazy. There's so many things that I want to share more of. At the WiCyS conference, there's many things that were really amazing from everyone that I met and generally connected with. The talks, the topics, career fair, the social interactions. It was really awesome. There's a lot of learning opportunities that we can share for those who are not part of that conference or that platform, so they can maybe take that learning and just implement.
Definitely resonate with overthinking too much. I tend to overanalyze myself, but I love what you just said. It reminds me of a colleague that I met, I think through a training online, leadership training, and she was trying to get into cybersecurity. And I think she just read a book and she did a book review.
Yeah.
And she told me, oh my God, I've gotten so many likes and comments thanking her for her perspective on that cybersecurity book that she read. As long as it resonates with one person, I think it's a success.
It's impactful. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's key. With that being said, we're going to be talking about the buzzword next that we've been hearing for, I think, 2 years now.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, and more specifically, generative artificial intelligence. I guess one basic question, what's your initial perception with this new transformative technology?
Yeah, so it's it's just transformed, right? But machine learning, AI, neural network I was exposed to it like 20 years ago or over 20 years ago. So it's not in foundation and you feel, but there have been some enhancement of models along the way, and it's very blooming in the last 2 years. It's very awesome on how I personally can leverage and use it to automate some of the works, or how people who are looking for jobs are using it to rewrite their resume or get reps for an interview with questions and answers. So definitely have really awesome and great applications. And it has a big attack surface. It has a bigger attack surface. And this is where use with caution and making sure that you follow the pre-published frameworks around how can we secure it? What are the attacks? How can we limit the attack surface? How can we segment it? AI, responsible AI. But one of the things that I mentioned while speaking at UW in their hackathon week was, what about the use of AI in identifying deep fakes or unauthentic pictures, videos, right? And apparently someone did a hackathon on it. They won third place. So I'm excited to learn more about it, and I will connect with them. How can we use it? How can we enhance? How can we automate daily tasks, right? Like me personally with meeting minutes or with emails or with recap from recording. So there's a lot of applications to it. But one of the key things, let's move back to what are the security principles, right? CIA, and we added another A: confidentiality, integrity, availability, and accountability. No matter what you do in any fields, make sure that at least the principle is being deployed. The attack surface and the amount of sophisticated advanced attacks for AI is going to be enormous, because guess what? As we're using AI, it's accessible. Hackers are using it too. they're getting faster, they're getting more understanding what vulnerabilities is there, and they're utilizing. They're not respective of your time zone, your territory, or working hours. And this is where it's going to get very, very interesting. And there's so many platforms. But to summarize, offensive security, defensive security, and making sure that we're building secure and responsible AI. It's going to be the buzzword. It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's enhancing. And one of the good questions that I was exposed to, is it going to take jobs away? And my answer, I think it enables cybersecurity professional to save time. So we can focus more with quality on some of the complex issues that exist. So if anything, I doubt that it will be the case.
Everything you're saying there, Basma, definitely resonates with me. But I guess I'm going to ask a clarifying question. When you mentioned attack surface, are you looking at it from adversaries attacking OpenAI, or how actors are leveraging AI to make their strategic goals a little bit easier and more efficient to target either particular companies for intel gathering from a nation state perspective, or from a cyber criminal kind of monetizing the data?
I meant the first example as one of the factors, because you have multi-layer infrastructure. So it's not just a Gen AI, it's a multi-layer infrastructure of attack surface that we need to protect, right? But the other example is how attackers are using and automating and leveraging AI in their daily job.
Right. There's an example. It might have been maybe 2 months ago. It was somewhere in Asia where this individual got on a video call with their bosses, but this individual got on with their boss. I think there's 2 other people, maybe even 3. And they asked them, hey, transfer this money to this bank account now. Like any good employee, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And it turns out that the videos were fake videos of this particular individual's bosses. It just kind of blew my mind into what you're saying, that threat actors are going to start leveraging this to become more accurate on their target and more efficient and just quicker in their attack. So it's very scary moving forward.
It's very scary, and the human factor, culture, security plays a big factor and a portion of how can we prevent some of the phishing attacks or scamming attacks, right? Or how can we build a curiosity about, does this look authentic, or is there something more to it?
Yeah, I think for me, cybersecurity is a people problem. People are going to help us solve our biggest challenges. I think it's going to be a little bit different when it comes to AI, just because now somebody who is not versed in a particular language of their target now can easily craft a normal looking email. And now you and I would not be able to ascertain whether this is fake or coming from our bosses to do X, Y, and Z. So there, I think technology has to augment our intelligence to say, nope, this is not legitimate for whatever reason, and help us there, because it is going to be harder to really detect. Not to put words in your mouth, you believe Gen AI to be a good thing for society and just AI in general.
So, and it's a tricky thing, right? When we take a look, is it good or bad? And I'll give you a very interesting example. It was a year and a half ago, I was in one of the sessions where they were exploring, do you trust AI or not, based on certain criteria. And we did a great exercise. People trusting AI, people don't trust AI. And based on the discussion and the engagement and the argument, I was the first one to be in the middle. And that's my statement, because it's always conditioned with the use, with the business, with the multi-layer security in place. There's nothing that's an absolute 0 and 1 with AI. It's going to be with condition of application, with condition about the security posture management of AI. And then I can decide if I'm leaning to more towards a 0 or a 1, or even a scale range to be exact.
That's definitely fair, Basma. At the end of the day, it's how we people leverage that particular tool.
Yes.
I know with cryptocurrencies, I personally believe that's just a phenomenal way, a new monetary system.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it's currently being used is
Mm-hmm.
for nefarious
Yep.
purposes, right? And that's a valid point. For the foreseeable future, Gen AI is going to be here. And it's just amazing on where this technology is going to take us. It's all about educating yourself on any topic, not necessarily only AI. I love this conversation. I'm going to open up the floor. This isn't the first time I've done this. Any other things that you want to mention?
Yes. One of the things that really surprised me personally, that people tend to wait and see someone who looks like them, done it before, or advanced before, or work in this domain in cyber, or that domain in cyber. And this is where I would like to invite everyone, be inspired by someone who looks different. Do not wait. You can be the first who break into cyber based on a background or where you're from. One of the things that really resonates with me with the conference, that I inspired someone. She was on college exchange program, and she's originally from North Africa, and she was like the only one like from that region besides me. And she was like, what? Like, she was like returning in summer, and she was like looking for more ways, because one thing that we love is how innovative you can be. There's no limits in technology in the US. And I believe that I inspired her. She will finish the college degree, and she will make it back to pursue masters and hopefully get a job. And that's just one example. I really personally love, it's about the impact, like why we're doing what we're doing in terms of WiCyS in the first place. And this is where I know some women that I've worked with, and they were awesome. Like, I refer them for jobs. I try to help push and help and build that meaningful connections with some managers. I invite everyone to just play their active role towards their passion in the community, make a difference. Any time counts, any impact counts. And this is where it's an equation of time, again, and your passion. Danny, I'll be honest, I'm getting selective with events. I got 2 kids, right? And this is where it's a complicated equation that we're trying to make the best out of it for me and for the community. And this is where, yes, I went to B-Side Seattle on Saturday, and I love the impact that I made, and I had some priorities. But guess what I did? I brought up my daughter with me. She did awesome. She attended some of the talks. She's 8, by the way, or about to be 8. So some of the talks were really, she's trying to understand, and she's like passionate and overwhelmed with the crowd, and just like getting to understand more about security and do the village activities, understanding that, hey, there's like this booth that she was standing at and saying, hey, welcome to Women in Cybersecurity Washington affiliate. So it's these little things that leads by example, that you can always make a difference regardless of your passion. So just, I invite everyone to be authentic, be unique, be you. Make sure that when you connect with people, that you truly connect with people, that you understand more about their background, their next steps. Be in that moment. It's about intelligence when you connect truly with someone.
It's that emotional intelligence that a lot of people lack, and just empathy at the end of the
Yeah.
day. But I really love the representation message that you're saying there, Basma, and just being a trailblazer, giving back, and being the first of first generation college students, certification, family, etc. You're definitely a trailblazer in all the great work that you're doing,
Thank
giving back to the community. And I think the hardest job in the entire world is being a mother, being a
you.
parent.
Yeah. And to all the parents out there, it's doable, because one of the main reasons I joined WiCyS is to encourage moms and women who took a break to get back into cyber. And I want to make sure that this message resonates as well with the audience. It's all a matter of when you think it's right, what skill set you need to build, and you have a lot of support groups that can help you along the way. I transitioned into the current job almost 7.5 years ago while I was in maternity leave. And I got the offer while I was in my maternity leave. And it got me really, because it's my passion, I said, yes, it's time to get back. And it was my first kid, my daughter. And I had to do the calculations of times. What do I need to do? And of course, time management is a key for everything, and your priorities, and iterating on those priorities. And it's always a balance and making sure that you nurture yourself. So it's nothing that is absolute perfect, but we can always keep trying and build that habit that makes us, yes, I created the most impact this week or today or tomorrow.
Right. It's just taking one day at a time, I
Yes.
think, and not getting overwhelmed of whatever our personal lives and our career, and then giving back to the community. So everything that you're saying, Basma, I love. So with that being said, I know we're coming to a close. I always love books. I love to read books. What book have you recently read that you would want to share with the audience?
So one of the recent books that I read, and I'm deploying this. It's good to read a book, but it's always good. Okay, what is my key takeaway? How can I build a habit or deploy something that I learned from it? It's the compound effect. I love how you take a look at wins differently and build on those wins, and on a personal life or at work. So it is, and like one of the examples is saving money, but I want to pivot from that example from the book. It's anything in life. It's a momentum of building your own success pyramids. Build on top of that, one piece of Lego at a time, until you feel, yes, this is where I want to go. And anything that you do in terms of allyship in action, adopt the same framework. It's about do not complain. Hey, no one kind of says +1 on my idea or says this is awesome work. You have to ask yourself, do you do it to others? You have to be genuinely connecting and making sure that you're being an advocate. Yes, this is really a cool idea. Be vocal about it. And then when you share your good idea, people will be vocal about it. So creating that momentum effect in many things that we do matters. Making sure that, for me, being that years in cyber, when I acknowledge something is good, that it's good. When I give feedback, I really generally liked it. If I don't like something, I'll just be quiet. I will not comment. I'm more than happy to give feedback in a positive way, even around something that was not positive. And then again, it's about how you give the feedback, because giving feedback, it's a blessing, it's a gift, but it's as well how you say it. So compound effect is definitely one of my favorites.
I love your recommendation about not only reading books, but seeing how you can leverage them in your personal life, work life, everything that you do.
Yes. And I'll share another book with you for the people who are early career joining cyber. One of the amazing people that I know, Yuri, have published a book that actually he gifted for the WiCyS community. And I gifted that book for one of my mentees at Seattle Pacific University. So I'll make sure that as well I'll get you this link, because I read the book and I really like it. If someone is really early career, it would help them navigate.
I'll make sure if you can send me the link, we'll definitely get up on the show notes. But Basma, I've loved this conversation. I love just your trailblazing persona. You're giving back. You're doing a lot of great things in the community. Thank you for taking the time. And I know we're talking about time management, and unfortunately we can't extend the day. We can't get 25 hours out of the day. But thank you for your time, your wisdom, and giving back to the community. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny, for accepting my invite to be on the show. For everyone who's watching, you can do this. Just be persistent, be hard worker. You will get there. It's only a matter of time.